Before you do anything, please leave a comment letting me know how you found this video. Thanks. When Brokeback Mountain was released, movie fans swarmed and were in awe at its groundbreaking portrayal of Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal's homosexual relationship, something not shown with such grounded tragedy since 1969's Midnight Cowboy.
I'm walking here!
Among all the praise, however, was one glaring negative review from legendary film critic Gene Shalit. In his review, Shalit outlined that Gyllenhaal's character, Jack Twist, was a sexual predator. He noted that this man was stalking Ledger's Ennis Del Mar, manipulating him into sexual encounters and avoidant behaviors, exploiting the anti-homosexual status quo of the 20th century in order to extract more pleasure from the power he has over Ennis. Shalit faced heavy backlash for this. He was labeled as a homophobe, an old man who hadn't caught up with the times, and, bizarrely, a hack. Gene subsequently apologized if his review was perceived as homophobic, and his openly gay son publicly stated that Gene was not a homophobe. He probably still isn't. The man is kicking it at 99 years old this year. Whereas Brokeback Mountain's legacy has endured as a gripping tale of truly forbidden love in an era of repression, the idea that Jack was a sexual predator turns his tragic romance into a depraved psychological drama. When viewed through the specific lens of Jack Twist as a sexual predator, the film can be interpreted as a story of manipulation and exploitation. This perspective reframes Jack's actions not as romantic initiations, but as predatory behaviors that target Ennis's emotional and physical weaknesses, overriding his hesitation and boundaries. Join me as I break down the plot and character dynamics to illustrate this interpretation, focusing on Jack's patterns of initiation, escalation, self-gratification, and control. Just before I jump into that, please give me 20 seconds to let you know that Sam Aurelian is a completely independent channel with no generative AI being used to make my videos. I'm also just barely getting off the ground here. If you like this video, if you're seeing it at all, because YouTube apparently hates my long-form content, please subscribe and help me make $1 million on coffee. Without further ado, the film begins in 1963 when Jack and Ennis are hired to herd sheep on the titular Brokeback Mountain. Their first sexual encounter occurs after a night of heavy drinking where Ennis is intoxicated and enters their tent for warmth. Jack seizes this moment of impaired judgment by initiating a kiss. Ennis initially resists, pushing back against the advance, but Jack persists, leading to a rough sexual encounter. From a predatory viewpoint, this scene depicts Jack exploiting Ennis's drunken state in isolation, far from societal norms or support systems, to force an intimate act. To put it simply, he commits rape with intoxication in a secluded area. Ennis's post-encounter insistence that it was a one-time thing highlights his reluctance, but Jack completely disregards this boundary, continuing to pursue and engage in sexual and emotional pursuits throughout the summer. This establishes Jack as someone who identifies and capitalizes on moments of weakness, using the remote setting to his advantage without regard for explicit consent. Their summer on the mountain further reinforces this dynamic. As they develop a routine of physical intimacy, Jack takes the lead in escalating the relationship, while Ennis appears more passive and conflicted. Their physical fight near the end of their time together, which leaves both injured, can be seen as a manifestation of Ennis's suppressed resistance erupting violently. Perhaps a subconscious pushback against Jack's ongoing advances. Jack's role here is that of the aggressor who has drawn Ennis into a cycle of dependency, only for it to fracture when separation looms. After the summer ends, the men part ways, with Ennis marrying Alma Beers and starting a family, seemingly attempting to move on. Jack, however, does not respect this distance. 4 years later, he tracks down Ennis and arrives unannounced at his home, reigniting their connection with a passionate kiss in full view of potential witnesses, including Alma, who, unbeknownst to them, sees all of it. This bold intrusion into Ennis' settled life can be interpreted as predatory stalking. Jack disregards Ennis' new commitments and family obligations, pulling him back into the affair.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
In the motel room that follows, Jack quickly proposes that they abandon their lives to live together on a ranch, pressuring Ennis despite his clear refusals, rooted in fear, responsibility, and past trauma. One such trauma that Ennis brings back. One thing that Ennis brings up is a childhood memory of his father showing him the mutilated body of a suspected gay man. Over the ensuing years, Jack maintains control by initiating sporadic fishing trips that serve as covers for their sexual rendezvous. These meetings occur on Jack's terms, in remote locations that echo the isolation of Brokeback, limiting Ennis' ability to disengage. Jack's persistence escalates as Ennis' marriage to Ullman deteriorates, culminating in their divorce in 1975.
How do you marry a woman and then turn around and let a man bend you over?
Ain't nobody bending me over.
Oh, so you doing the bending?
When Jack again pushes for cohabitation, Ennis declines, citing his children. But Jack continues to apply emotional pressure, exploiting Ennis' guilt and loneliness. This pattern suggests a predatory strategy of wearing down the target over time, using intermittent reinforcement, the height of their meetings, to keep Ennis hooked while picking away at his sexual security by ignoring his repeated boundaries. As the relationship strains, Jack's predatory nature extends beyond Ennis.
Oh, I forgot. You're broken. I don't want to play with you anymore.
Though he's married Lorene Newsom in Texas and has a son,
It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
his sexual dissatisfaction leads him to seek other outlets, including an implied affair with a rancher named Randall Malone. This behavior indicates a broader pattern of predatory tendencies. Jack uses sexual relationships for personal gratification, discarding or sidelining them when they no longer serve his desires. Back with Ennis during their final meeting, an argument erupts when Ennis postpones a trip due to work commitments. Jack's response, blaming Ennis for their unfulfilled lives and holding him as he cries, can be seen as manipulative, shifting responsibility onto the victim to maintain emotional dominance. Then Jack dies from a tire exploding in his face, as revealed through Lorene's account to Ennis, who imagined that Jack was beaten to death by other men. Ennis is devastated, and he retrieves Ennis' belongings and ashes from his parents' home. Finding his own bloody shirt tucked inside Jack's shirt from their mountain fight symbolizes how Jack has claimed Ennis, preserving a trophy of his conquest. Ennis' lifelong isolation afterward, living alone with mementos of Jack, underscores the long-term damage of this predatory dynamic. Ennis is left broken, unable to form new connections, while Jack's influence persists posthumously. Viewing Jack as a predator shifts the film's core themes from forbidden love to a cautionary tale of exploitation. The societal homophobia of the era becomes a tool Jack wields with subtlety, knowing Ennis' internalized fears make him more susceptible to secrecy and isolation. Jack's outgoing, charismatic personality masks his calculated advances, allowing him to present as a passionate lover rather than an aggressor. Ennis, portrayed as stoic and repressed, emerges as the vulnerable prey, repeatedly drawn in despite its instincts to resist. This interpretation highlights power imbalances. Jack's relative ease with his sexuality enables him to dominate, while Ennis' struggles leave him exposed. Ultimately, this lens portrays Brokeback Mountain as a narrative of one man's relentless pursuit eroding another man's autonomy, leading to mutual destruction. While the film invites empathy for both characters, focusing on Jack's predatory traits reveals a darker undercurrent of manipulation woven into the tragic bond. Brokeback Mountain was a heterosexual story, especially if it was Jack as a man aggressively pursuing a reluctant married Ennis recast as a woman. Audience reception would likely pivot dramatically towards viewing the relationship as straight-up rape rather than tragically romantic. In this scenario, Jack's actions, exploiting a moment of vulnerability for an initial sexual encounter, tracking down his former lover after years of no contact, and persistently urging her to abandon her family, would align with definitions of stalking, harassment, and emotional abuse. Audiences even 100 years ago would likely condemn such persistence as a violation of consent and autonomy, especially given the power dynamics of a more assertive man overriding his partner's agitations. In the gay community, forbidden love is often idealized as rebellious, allowing fans to forgive flaws as products of repression. However, a heterosexual version might be seen as rape apology, with Jack's charisma reframed as manipulative. I suddenly feel a little queasy. No outro, the plot of this movie is just sickening. Only a woman could have come up with it, and only women could see it as romantic. Like, comment, subscribe, buy me a coffee.
Goodbye.